The opinions and views expressed in this podcast do not reflect the views of HTT Media Group. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, lovelies, and thanks again for tuning in to Listen Closely. If you haven't already, please follow me on Facebook, where I'll be posting all things related to the topics of each episode, as well as merchandise and many other different things. So without further ado, please sit back, relax, and listen closely. Hello, lovelies. So today we're going to be talking about UFOs.
UFOs.
Otherwise known as unidentified flying objects. And this one actually does take place here in Silsbee.
Does it now?
It does.
Huh.
So in the 1970s, there was a huge UFO hysteria.
Right.
I'm not quite sure. I could never really see why. I researched, but there was never really any full explanation on why there was such a big UFO sighting in the 1970s. Was it drugs? Was it, aliens really liked us? I don't know. But to give a little insight in that, Mr. 37, president, claimed to have seen a UFO.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
He said in 1969 he witnessed a light in the sky that moved irregularly. And he actually didn't report it then. He waited until 1973.
Do you know who the president was in there? I'm going to give you a hint. He quoted something and he said, I am not a crook.
Yes. Richard Nixon.
Himself.
Saw a UFO. So that just gives a little insight that even the president of the United States at the time was seeing something in the sky that was unexplainable. So here in Silsbee, the first encounter happened October 25th in 1973 and was recorded in the Silsbee Bee.
Really?
Yes. So the key witnesses I will be talking about are David Snell, Henry Shavers, and Teddy Calhoun.
Okay.
So, according to their accounts, there was a big ball of fire around dusk on Tuesday, which I'm guessing is about the 23rd, while returning to Cook's pasture east of Silsbee.
Okay.
That was both David Snell and Henry Shavers who saw that. Meanwhile, Mr. Calhoun heard a tremendous crash accompanied by a comet-like crash and a tail, like a light tail, while he was feeding his horses near Lindsay Road. If you're from this area, you know the geography and you know where these areas kind of are. If you don't, you can quickly look up Lindsay Road, Silsbee, Texas. You'll get a kind of idea of where he was. Mr. Snell said that his Land Cruiser's headlights had failed while he was out there. And then, and I quote, "Then I thought the lights had come back on. It just got light all over. Then I saw a big ball of fire at the left of the truck. It had a tail like a comet, and it went to the ground." End quote.
Well.
He reported no loud explosion, unlike Mr. Calhoun, though.
Right.
So, what could it be? I mean, obviously, it's a UFO, but
so this is
three guys. And there's two different stories, but this is three guys right here that said they saw something all in one night.
Okay, and just so y'all know, let's go ahead and put this out there, full disclosure on this one. So my wife, we talk about this all the time. She believes in aliens. I'm not so sure. I haven't been convinced yet, but I mean, I'm susceptible to the fact that there is other life out there.
I mean, it's kind of hard. There are, the universe is pretty big.
But yes, it is. It's very big. And I have my questions just like everybody else. But to say what they saw, that's a good question. Like I don't know. It's hard for me to answer that question.
All right, so the bee also gave us an answer.
Who?
The Silsbee bee.
Oh, did they?
It is most likely a meteor.
A meteor, of course.
Or a shooting star. So in October, we have a meteor shower that happens every year, roughly around the September-October area.
Right.
One of them is I'm going to mess this name up. I'm sorry in advance. The Orionids.
Okay.
A meteor shower that is active every year in October, usually peaking around October 20th, 21st. And again, I said that this happened October 25th.
It could be that I am actually an alien because you said the meteor shower is October 20th or the 21st?
Mm-hmm. Usually peaks around that time.
Yeah, that's when I was born, so...
That would explain why you don't believe in yourself.
That's right.
So, going back to our story, Mr. Snell did actually confirm, and I quote, "I had a blown fuse. I found out when we got to town, but I sure didn't know that out in the woods."
But they also didn't know about electromagnetic pulses at that time. So
Fair.
And I will tell you this. So, and if you don't understand what I'm talking about, so anything, and we've learned this from watching a bunch of alien documentaries and stuff like that. But anything with a high radiation / electrical field can make damage other things in its path with that same electrical field. So, if he wasn't a UFO, it could have blown his fuse.
But it had a tail like shooting stars. So they believe it was just simply a meteor shower, and one might have quite possibly fell and hit the area at somewhere.
Right.
Or burnt up while it was falling down. But to add on to that story...
But wait, there's more.
Harold Lee of the Silsbee Bee, he was a worker, reported seeing red and white lights passing over the city Friday evening. His description, almost like an aircraft running lights, however.
Right.
So even his story was kind of, unfortunately, debunked.
So it seems like they were really quick to, like, unexplain.
Right. So these are all in the Silsbee Bee.
Yes.
But Mr. Lee said he did see some red and white lights. However, he said that it couldn't be an aircraft running lights, because they don't jerk erratically up and down over several hundred feet of airspace as he had reported them to do.
That is correct. They are steady.
So what did he see? Because comets are not red and white lights.
Right.
And again, this is 1934? I'm sorry, 1973.
73.
So I'm thinking about something else.
Yeah.
1973. So, I mean, there were aircraft at the time. But who knows?
I mean, that's a hard one.
Okay, so the first story, pretty easily explained, kind of a cool, we're getting warmed up
Right.
for this next one.
Right. Oh, wait, there's two stories?
There's two stories.
Oh.
So UFOs supposedly visited Silsbee not once, but twice.
Twice.
Those stories were easily explained off. We never know.
Yeah.
I mean, they know what they saw. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly.
But the next story and the next encounter in 1973. The first one, October 25th. The second one, November 1st.
So all these things are happening around October, late October, early November.
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of, and if you know anything, kind of the witching times, witching hour type things.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Huh.
So the next story was reported in November 1st, 1973 by the Silsbee Bee again. And the witness was Mrs. Paul Glenn Keith.
Okay.
They lived near Gore Store Road, which is north of Silsbee. Mrs. Keith told the paper her and her husband were at home about 8 p.m. on Sunday, October the 28th, when they saw a light down Camp Waluda Road,
Okay.
which lined the trees. So, like, that road is lined with trees.
Right.
And, like, kind of just up above it was the light.
Okay.
And she said, and I quote, "At first it looked like a car coming down the road. But the light was a deep red, like a tail light. So, but it was coming towards them."
Right.
And I have a huge quotes from her. So this is her, and I quote, "It was about half a mile away when we saw it was a huge red light. It started to rise up in the air until it reached the treetops, then turned to one side. But that time the light was white and blinking, or twinkling like a star. When it got to the tops of the trees, it took off like a jet plane. When it got some distance away, another light, just like it, twinkling too, passed it."
That's weird.
It is. She said that not only that time, but she saw a UFO 2 other times. Two about 2 days earlier, but at the same distance. And she said, and I quote, "They were lights that moved up and down. We also saw something like it right above our house 6 years ago in 1967, right after we got married and moved here. A big light moved around over the house for a while, shining another light on the ground. Then it went away. But we weren't going to report it then." So it's not the first time she had seen one, or even the second time, but it was actually the third time. All on the same area.
So I'm going to give my explanation real quick on the whole, because we talked about just a minute ago about why they come during that certain time of year. I think that if anything, it would be the climate of that time of year.
Cooler.
Yes. Now, normally still in October, November, it's in Southeast Texas, it's still pretty humid. It's still, but you're starting to sense cooler weather. And that could be a big reason because, we talk about climate control and stuff like that. Well, these guys could be, used to that type of climate. And so that's when they come. But
And it could also be the how the planets align during that time of the year.
That is true. That's a good, yeah.
I mean, there's no really telling why they choose certain times or not, why they choose some areas more than others. Because actually, I saw in one article that Texas sees the least amount of UFOs.
Right.
We have one of the fewer amounts of sightings in the United States. I mean, we can't really say why they say New Mexico more, and it might be just simply New Mexico's looking up more.
It could be that. It could be humidity. It could be a variable of things.
Yeah.
Could be that we're closer to the equator.
I mean, you there's no real telling.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way to know is ask.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there have been no aliens that decided to talk to us.
Yeah.
If they did, I'm pretty sure they do not want to talk to me nor John. They'd probably want to talk to some higher ups, but you never know.
I mean, if they talk to me, they better have a good cigar and a cup of coffee ready because I'm a talker. So
they're going to be there a while. And something interesting, in 1973, there was a huge, account of a man who apparently it changed his life. He got abducted by aliens. Not in Texas, in another area, I believe it was Georgia.
Okay.
But that might have also sparked the alien, hysteria of the time.
Well, and not discrediting anybody, but 1970s it was the decade of exploration. People were questioning more things than they normally do. And so I don't know if that has a part to play in it, but it definitely, they weren't taking stuff for face value anymore.
Right.
And so, like I said, it's hard to tell, and I I'm sure some of these people are still around and they can tell their stories and stuff. But yeah,
it's just interesting to see that the Silsbee Bee even picked up these stories, and
Right.
I will have the articles linked on my Facebook page. I'll have them linked, or a screenshot of the articles so you can read them yourself.
Right.
I know I did say some names that might still be around. However, it was in the newspaper, so
Right.
I was able to actually give you names today.
Yeah. And it's, I think that it's hard for me as a human to grasp something like that. Because, of course, I've, now, don't get me wrong, and we've talked in recent episodes about, my dealings with the supernatural. But at the same time, I do believe in ghosts. I do believe in stuff like that, but I'm very picky about what I believe, and I want the complete evidence.
Like, you want the facts, you want to see something.
Right. And so I think that's what gets me with the UFO thing, because I guess I've never personally been affected by it, so it doesn't really, my mind doesn't wrap around it.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So, a little side story, kind of funny. When I was little, the big lights like you see in front of the fireworks, like the light,
Yes.
the searchlights kind
Yes.
of thing. When I was little, I always swore up and down those were looking for aliens. Like, even in front of the fireworks stands, I was like, oh, they're looking for aliens. They want to make sure that they don't shoot them down with, 4th of July fireworks.
Right. and
So, I've always believed, even way before I did this show, before anything, there's no possible way, evidence-wise, statistics, if you think about it, that we are the absolute only intelligent form of life. It's just we are unable to make contact with life outside. I mean, obviously,
Right.
we have learned that there is life off of Earth and on other planets.
Correct.
However, they're, little microorganisms, in, say, ice and Mars or something. Like, they've found life. It's
Plants,
just, it's not intelligent life.
Right.
But if there is life on other planets that we indeed have found, surely there is intelligent life possibly further out.
Well, and that's the thing about that. It's self-sustainment. And that's, they haven't found intelligent life, but they found things that intelligent life could sustain on.
Right. I mean, there are plenty of planets that said, this planet isn't livable now for, say, us.
Right.
But at one point in its life, it very well could have been.
Right. And there's, and I know that when this episode airs, we'll get hit with all kinds of quandaries, whether religious or non-religious. But if you have a question about it, you can always email us. Go ahead and give out your email.
So my personal email now for this show is httlistenclosely@gmail.com.
Right.
You can also message me on Facebook. The handle is at HTT Listen Closely. Or if you just want to type in Listen Closely Podcast, I'm the first one that pops up. You'll see the headphones with the police tape wrapped around it. And if you want to give me your account, maybe you've seen something that you want me to know, or, tell your story. By all means, give me your stories, whether it's UFOs, whether it's, Uncle Jay, who just happened to be streaking down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, but you thought it was a Bigfoot. I mean, it doesn't even have to be UFOs. It can be Bigfoot, ghosts, or if you've heard of something you want me to check out.
Right.
I am fully prepared and willing to check on these stories. And
another thing about that is that we use discretion on the show. So if you do email her, but you say, hey, I don't want to be identified, we're not going to identify you.
yeah, I've had one person for another story who told me she didn't want to ever say what she had seen or not seen because of, people would think she was crazy. So when I get to her story, I'm absolutely not going to say her name. I'm not even saying her name now.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't feel comfortable enough to give out her story with her name. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I will tell you my stories. I mean, I am an open book. John's pretty open. We will tell you what we've seen or not seen, or what we believe and not believe.
Right.
He doesn't necessarily believe in aliens. I am fully prepared to tell you I believe in aliens.
Right.
Now, whether they've contacted us, at any point in our history, not even just Silsbee, but whether they've contacted us in history, I think so.
Now, and in saying that, when I say I've never had one call me up on the phone and say, "Hey, bro, I'm alive." Like
I exist.
Yeah. So, that's
or like the Horton Hears a Who, like we are here,
yes,
we are here.
Yes. That's never happened to me. So that's where until that if that day ever comes, then I will believe.
I feel like the day that ever comes, kind of like the Independence Day, like when you see it, you're gonna be like, "Holy crap!"
I'm probably just gonna be like, "Oh, okay."
Just don't be like a Mars attack and let a dove out for them to shoot down.
Right. Like I'm open to it. I just don't know. Now
whether they're friendly or they're gonna bomb us, and I can't tell you that. But I will say, yes, I do believe that there is some form of intelligent life out there. Where or how friendly they are, or what they even speak, I cannot tell you.
Right.
Whether they've actually abducted people and did surgeries is how I'm going to put it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't fully... Those people know their stories. They can tell you what they've felt, what they've seen, what they've experienced. I've never experienced any, but I still believe.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think that's what it comes down to is the personal belief. You just got to make up your own mind, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
For you to make up your own mind, to chase those rabbit holes, and when you do chase down those rabbit holes, when you go down them, let us know.
Yeah. Or even if this just doesn't, you don't believe in aliens, but maybe this makes you look up every once in a while.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful sky.
Mm-hmm.
Especially around this time. I mean, you can see the Big Dipper, Little Dipper, Orion and his belt. I mean, you can see a lot of things.
Yeah.
So even if it just makes you kind of go outside with your family and just stargaze, I mean, I would love that. Just spend quality time. Maybe hunt aliens. Maybe just look at the beautiful sky.
Right.
But yeah, that was two accounts that happened here in Silsbee. One we can fairly reasonably explain off. The other one, we don't know.
Yeah. But I do know what you need to do whenever you're looking for aliens.
When you're looking, you have to always remember to also listen closely.